Very seldom do I just pump on the brakes and decide I'm going to completely change what videos I'm working on. It really gums up the whole process when I do that, so I try not to do that. Even though I'm not a very organized individual, I still have a lot of these things planned out, at least for a week or so. But that did change when I played Cocoon. I knew the creator from Limbo and Inside had a game coming out, and I even remember seeing it in one of the most recent directs. And I thought, wow, this game looks really interesting. It looks really cool. Something I'm gonna want to check out. But for some reason, I sort of forgot about it up until Thursday night. And yeah, Thursday night, I had no idea that on Monday I was going to be making a video for Cocoon. But I did see the game in the eShop and was quickly reminded, oh, I really wanted to check this game out. So I patiently waited for the eShop to have it available to sell, and once it did, I did download it. My first impression playing the game was just how beautiful it looked. The game was detailed and crisp, especially for the Nintendo Switch. And yeah, you did play a bug, so it wasn't like super detailed on the main character, but the environments, they just came to life. And on that note, I was thinking a game about a bug would, I don't know, be more floral and organic, yet this one seemed to be taking place in some futuristic environment. Yes, there were organic materials, but think more Starship Troopers and less Bugs Life when you think about the environment of this game. Although early on, detailed graphics were not the thing that really caught my attention. No, in fact, it was the ability to jump between worlds, and we're talking about like the ability that you see in Ratchet and Clank on the PS5, but this was on the Nintendo Switch, with no loading screens and performing really smooth. Armed with my new party trick, I showed every gamer I knew, look what this game can do on the Nintendo Switch. It's bouncing between worlds. No, it's not as impressive as Ratchet and Clank, but it looks really good, and in handheld, I don't know what wizardry or black magic they used to get this kind of performance out of the Nintendo Switch, but I really wish they would give the Pokemon Company a call, because those guys really need some help. I digress though. As impressive as this was, and yeah, I understand if you're looking at it from a different console aspect, it's not that crazy, but for the Switch, it's not often that we get things that perform like this, or, really show us the capabilities of the Switch. More we're reminded of the limitations of the Switch. So this was exciting, but as cool and inventive and impressive as this wasn't even the main feature of the game. In fact, relatively early on in my experience with this game, I kind of forgot about it. The ability to jump between worlds at breakneck pace became more of just a tool to solve problems than a modern day miracle, but that's how good the game actually is. And what's more impressive is this game has no story, no narrative. It doesn't even give you clues. Yes, this is a puzzle solver that doesn't have any sort of dialogue or hints. You're just kind of left on your own to figure out where you're supposed to go and how you're supposed to get there. But for me, this is the real star of the show. Gameplay and level design. Both of these components are just masterfully done in this game. If nothing more than a shining beacon to what a puzzle solver could be, this is also incredibly impressive when, again, no dialogue, no story, but yet you still find the motivation to continue to play. The gameplay itself is the motivation, the puzzles are the motivation, and yet there's something more. See, as I tried to play this game, I also thought about doing a review, and a majority of my review is usually talking about the story, or the dialogue, or the writing, or character growth. These things usually take up about half of my reviews. So as I'm playing this game, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to fill that void with. And so I tried to find my own story. I tried to make things make sense. I tried to pull just different hints out of the air, and let me tell you, this is really difficult, and it didn't really all add up. In fact, some of the bosses in this game, and yes, there are boss fights in this game, that pretty much play like kind of a classic Legend of Zelda boss mixed with like a puzzle solver boss. Your character doesn't really have an ability to cause damage. It has one button. That's all you have, and it's more of an interaction. So you have to pit things like bombs or things like that up against the bosses. There's always a different combat when it comes to the bosses, but even this, a little bit different because each boss is incredibly different. Not just in how you fight them. No, I would argue that even the psyche of each boss is different. Some of them are incredibly aggressive and look like they want to kill you. Others, though, look like they're just playing a game with you and will regretfully concede to your victory once you best them. and these boss fights become more epic as you play through them. Also, while the fact that you know that if you're hit once, you're thrown out of the world and you have to restart the entire boss fight, but they're so worth it and so much fun. One thing about the game that I would like is a boss rush mode, because these bosses were just so memorable and so epic. It was a lot of fun. And I have to say, though, that I'm excited to go back and play this game again. I want to do a different video on this game, less of a review and more of maybe exploring the lore, really finding out what this game is about. And that should tell you just how good the gameplay is, how much fun it is if me, a game reviewer who plays far more games than I should, is actually excited to replay a game multiple times, to find hints, to find clues, to really explore the lore of this game. But that's not the only place that this game excels. No, the puzzles. I mean, that's a big chunk of the gameplay, is the puzzles. And they're in some ways very accessible and welcoming, but then also daunting and can be really, really difficult. And once you do figure them out, though, God, you feel like you're a genius. But as somebody who is not a good puzzle solver, if you will, and no, I'm not, I'm really bad at it, I never really felt overwhelmed by it. There was a couple times, well, one specifically, that I had to ask my friend Adam Miller for a little bit of help. But even that, I feel like I could have figured it out. I was just on a timeline. I wanted to get this video done before Monday, and so obviously I wanted to beat the game as soon as possible. But that was really my only limitations. If I had no time limitations or anything like that, I would have had no problem figuring it out. Now, the game is only about 4 hours, and for some people, that's going to be a problem because it does come in at around $24. But I can tell you that that is well worth it. I mean, this game just oozes quality. So much care and attention was put into it that I believe that the $24.99 price tag is justified. Yeah, it goes quicker than you want it to, but when you look at the masterful level design, you look at the fun puzzles, the epic and yet really fun boss fights, also just replayability. This game has so much of that because there are so many questions that go unanswered, and you really feel like your only answer is somewhere in that world. And yet we haven't even mentioned paying the wizards or mages, whoever actually got the performance out of this game, because that too is a very, very important factor. The graphics, the performance, all of that is just quality. I have to say that I thoroughly enjoyed my experience with this game and would without a doubt play this game again. And in fact, I'm looking forward to making another video, like I said before. That speaks volumes to it. So yeah, the price tag is a bit high and the gameplay is a bit short, but what you get is just quality per hour. Now, I'm not trying to sell you on this game, I'm just trying to tell you how I feel about it, and how most people were right. This game is masterful, and on the eve of when I'm considering a bunch of bangers are dropping, like Pikachu Returns, the Detective Pikachu Returns comes out this week, Borderlands 3 drops this week, there's a ton of games that just start coming out week after week after week until the end of the year. This one just came out of nowhere, and part of me wouldn't be surprised that if this game is the one that stands the test of time. I'm not saying that for sure. I can't predict the future. I just know that there's something different with this game, and it is just so good. So if I'm going to give this game a ranking, I would give this game a 9.7 out of 10. Right there, tied with Sea of Stars as the top ranked game of this year. We'll see if anything can beat it. We got a couple months, but let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Have you played this one? Are you looking forward to it? Did you kind of miss it like I did? Is it something you're excited to get into? Or let me know what games you're excited about playing. Anything and everything in that comment section is so appreciated. I love each and every one of you guys. I've got a video pretty much dropping every day this week, so I really need y'all support. Thank y'all. I love you. Bye-bye.